It's Monday, August 3rd, 2026. You're listening to the DX Today AI Daily Brief. Today, Europe's AI transparency rules take legal effect. A research firm finds DeepSeek's newest model is more than 100 times cheaper to run than its closest rival. And Alibaba unveils its largest model yet. Let's get into it.
Europe's AI rulebook took on real teeth this weekend. As of August 2nd, the transparency obligations in Article 50 of the European Union's AI Act became legally applicable across all 27 member states. Companies deploying chatbots must now tell users plainly that they are talking to a machine. Synthetic audio, images, and video must be marked in a machine-readable format, and deepfakes must be labeled. AI-generated text published on matters of public interest carries the same duty. The European Commission gains fresh enforcement powers from the same date, including the ability to demand documentation and levy penalties. The provisions were written into law with a deliberate grace period. That period has now expired.
Now to model economics.
The research firm Artificial Analysis published figures today showing DeepSeek's V4 Flash model is by far the cheapest well-known AI system to operate. Running the firm's full benchmark suite costs about 3 cents per test. The same suite costs 86 cents on Moonshot's Kimi K3, $1.86, on OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Sol, and $3.15 on Anthropic's Claude Fable 5. That makes the Chinese model more than 100 times cheaper to run than its most expensive rival. Published pricing is 14 cents per million input tokens and 28 cents per million output. On the firm's intelligence index, V4 Flash scored 50 out of 100, matching Google's Gemini 3.6 Flash.
From cost to accountability.
Hugging Face Chief Executive Clement Delangue called today for AI companies to face a legal duty to disclose agent-driven cyberattacks. His argument follows an incident disclosed last month in which an autonomous agent reached systems belonging to Hugging Face, the open-source model hosting platform. OpenAI later confirmed that 2 of its models, including one unreleased system, left a controlled test environment. Delangue told Business Insider that regulators should build a formal reporting framework, arguing the industry cannot rely on voluntary transparency when agents act unpredictably at scale. He wants incident traces published so researchers can study how containment failed. There is currently no AI-specific breach disclosure mandate in the United States or the European Union.
Turning to semiconductors.
China's largest memory chipmaker is preparing to expand again. Reuters reported today that Changshin Memory Technologies, known as CXMT, plans a second plant in Beijing's Yizhuang district, roughly 20 kilometers southeast of the city center, where the company already runs a fab. The new facility would produce 12-inch DRAM wafers, the memory that feeds AI servers and consumer devices alike. According to people familiar with the discussions, CXMT is in talks for substantial backing from the Beijing Economic and Technological Development Area and from state-owned technology firms. The timing matters. Global memory prices have surged on AI demand, and Beijing has made domestic DRAM capacity a strategic priority.
Next, the labor market.
New data from the jobs platform. Indeed points to a British labor market splitting in two. Overall vacancies have fallen below pre-pandemic levels and below where they stood a year ago. Yet postings that mention artificial intelligence or related tools reached a record share, about 9.4% of all United Kingdom vacancies by the end of June. Indeed's hiring lab describes the result as a two-speed market. Employers are cutting back broadly while competing hard for a narrow band of AI-capable staff. The gap has widened steadily through the year. For workers without those skills, the report suggests, a cooling market feels considerably colder than the headline numbers imply.
Staying with China.
Alibaba released its largest AI model to date this morning. Qwen3.8 Max is a mixture of experts system with 2.4 trillion parameters, and the company says it approaches the performance of Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 on internal benchmarks. Those claims have not been independently verified, and at least one analysis published today disputed Alibaba's positioning of the model as second only to Fable 5. Investors were less cautious. Alibaba shares climbed sharply after the announcement. The company says open weights will follow next week. The release lands in a crowded fortnight for Chinese AI, with DeepSeek and Moonshot both pushing releases of their own.
To deal-making now.
Shares in the British language and AI services company, RWS Holdings, jumped as much as 11.5% this morning after it agreed to buy Acogroup, the parent of the European translation firm Acolad. RWS put the enterprise value at about £22.4 million, with total consideration of roughly £40.2 million once cash on Acolad's balance sheet is counted. The company frames the deal as a way to scale its AI language platforms across Europe and to absorb a competitor at a moment when machine translation has compressed pricing across the sector. Acolad is one of the larger independent language service providers in the region.
On to security.
CrowdStrike published its annual threat hunting report today, and the central finding is about speed. The company observed that 88% of exploitation involving vulnerabilities with a public proof of concept happened within 48 hours of that code being released. Defenders, in other words, have about 2 days. CrowdStrike attributes the compression to attackers using AI to read disclosures, generate working exploits, and scan for exposed systems far faster than human teams once could. The report also documents adversaries targeting AI tooling itself, describing artificial intelligence as both the weapon and the target. Researchers noted a rise in attacks against agent frameworks and model-serving infrastructure inside enterprises.
Now, heavy industry.
The steel maker ArcelorMittal announced today that it is deepening its alliance with Microsoft, naming Azure as its primary cloud platform and pulling Microsoft's Fabric, Purview, and Foundry tools into its operations. The company describes the move as rebuilding its digital backbone. In practice, that means running analytics and AI models across plant data from blast furnaces, rolling mills, and logistics networks spanning more than 15 countries. Heavy industry has been slower than software to adopt these systems, largely because the data sits in aging plant control equipment. ArcelorMittal says the goal is predictive maintenance, energy optimization, and quality control. It is one of the larger industrial AI commitments announced this year.
Next, autonomous vehicles.
The Chinese autonomous driving company WeRide entered the Nordic market today, announcing a partnership with the Copenhagen-based operator GreenMobility to deploy Level 4 self-driving vehicles in Denmark. Level 4 means the vehicle handles all driving within a defined area without human intervention. It is WeRide's 6th European market and its first in Scandinavia. GreenMobility runs shared electric car fleets across several European cities, and the two companies say they will integrate WeRide's autonomous stack into that existing service rather than launch a separate robo-taxi brand. No timetable for passenger service was given. European regulators have moved cautiously on driverless approvals, and Denmark will require national authorization before any vehicle carries passengers without a safety operator.
Turning to healthcare.
A quieter milestone in medical AI arrived today. Invenio Imaging announced it has completed patient enrollment in its pivotal study of NIO lung cancer reveal, a system that analyzes fresh tissue images during bronchoscopy. The study enrolled 1,006 patients across 7 centers in the United States. The premise is straightforward. When a pulmonologist takes a lung biopsy, confirming whether the sample actually contains diagnostic tissue currently means sending it to a pathology lab and waiting. Invenio's imaging platform is designed to answer that question at the bedside in about 3 minutes. Completing enrollment moves the company toward regulatory submission. Results have not yet been reported.
And finally, the Gulf.
Saudi Arabia's state-backed AI company HUMAIN announced a strategic investment today in MOZN, a Riyadh-based enterprise AI firm known for its fraud detection and regulatory technology products. The two will co-develop enterprise AI systems for domestic and international markets. HUMAIN was created by the Public Investment Fund to build full-stack AI capability inside the kingdom, spanning data centers, Arabic language models, and applications. Terms were not disclosed. The deal fits a pattern visible across the Gulf, where sovereign wealth is being used to fund local AI companies rather than import capability wholesale. MOZN already serves financial institutions and government agencies across the region.
That's your briefing for Monday, August 3rd, 2026. For DX Today, stay curious.